All right. Oh my God. I just keep going. I want to get started on my stories, but I just fucking love to meditate. Um. Anyways, I just had some inspirations now, and I didn't really have an inspiration to make any videos, but I started talking about angels last night, so it's like let's start talking about prophecy, right? But it's interesting, right? Like I consider myself a journeyman in prophecy. And I like prophecy. It's a word game, right? That's exactly what a prophecy is. It's a word game, and I'm a journeyman because I myself haven't gotten into the mystical prophecy stuff. Um, I'm just I just like hearing about other prophecies. So I like hearing about prophecy and trying to see. I mean, like not all prophecy is going to be real, obviously. Um, so first of all, you'd have to sift through it all and see what's bullshit and what's not, right? And usually, like for me, I guess real prophecy has it always has to have like triple meanings at least, probably, but at least double meanings. Um, but there also has to be a spirit, like a spirit from the other side that I recognize. And like one of the spirits that I recognize from the other side, besides tender love and even anger, um, is comedy. There's there's a lot of comedy in prophecy, and sometimes it's like uh, racious, not racious, raucous, RACO, no UOUS. I don't know how to spell it. I've never been good at spelling. Um, I don't know how to say it because it's sounding racial or something, but it's not racial. Anyways, it's body. It can be shocking to a moral person, but again, I see morality differently because morality is like in here in the United States, morality is dominated by Puritans. But I see Puritans as anti-moral because if you believe in a creator, right? Let's get fucking Aristotelian, bitches. If you believe in a creator, then therefore God created the hard cock and the wet pussy, right? And so it's like it's like these Puritans are condemning the creator. So fuck them. I mean, we shouldn't be shamed. And yeah, and I still do believe in marriage and commitment and stuff, and that's a legal thing, But if you're not in a marriage, then but I don't know. I don't know much about much, but sometimes it's but also other times it's like Quentin Tarantino's humor, and I won't say he has humor in his stuff, but it's just like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, bitches, and it's just like shockingly violent. Um, but that's how sometimes justice is, right? Sometimes justice is because the person who's committed a crime, again, we need to get rid of all these stupid movies that are in our head. A lot of times, the person who commits a crime has a good face. Like toxic people They all, not all of them. Like there's some guys, bad guys out there with bad guy faces, but most bad guys who come into your life are gonna have a good guy face, you know. And it's like God is a searcher of hearts. It's like if we're made in His image and likeness, we should be a searcher of hearts, you know. And then we're not going to be as hurt as much by getting into some of these toxic relationships. But there are some toxic people out there that do murder and other just terrible things. And it's like these people are going to, you know, either try to play you with a face of sympathy, or they will really be sympathetic. You know, it's all about searching the heart. And so looking upon justice can be a horrific thing. You know, it could be really horrific and shocking. Anyways, so I mean, like I guess before we start, I start out by telling you some of my views on prophecy. I think I've made other videos on this before, deleted some, but so like I think there's two types of prophecy, and I've definitely said this in my esoteric stuff. And you know, some prophecy is really no different than what happens in the marketplace. You have people out there that study trends, and if you study trends and look at reality as opposed to what you think is reality, then you're going to be able to predict what's going to happen. And so I mean, like, you could go to Nostradamus and say, okay, Nostradamus is living in time with these aristocrats. And, you know, there's also a big merchant class out there. And he's looking at the two, right? And he sees that the aristocrats are a bunch of exuberant dumbasses. And he sees that the merchants are, you know, much more competent, even though they don't have any heart, right? They just pretend to, like a toxic person. And you know, I like you know, buying and selling and all that stuff. And not all merchants are bad or evil. In fact, I've written some stories with some Phoenicians in them, and it's like, ooh, anytime a Phoenician's in my story, I get excited. And they're usually not like a evil scheming character, but like a lot of times Phoenicians are evil scheming characters. So, but I like merchants. But anyways, what am I talking about? Okay, so it's like, you know, you don't have to be a fucking genius. Like Nostradamus could have just been like a trender, like a modern trender. Like, who's gonna win between the competent, heartless merchant class and the incompetent, exuberant idiots of the aristocrats, right? I mean, that's one type of prophecy. That's just like reason and rationality. Posing as a prophecy, and I think both types of prophecy are in the Torah. I think both happen. You know, sometimes the prophecy will happen, and they're just it's just trends. You know, it's not a real prophecy. It's just it's like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then they go out there and do it, and it's like, I mean, think about someone who's capable of predicting trends, actually getting involved in manipulating those trends. But then there's when we think about prophecy, we think about I mean, there's all this conception that we have prophecy. You're prophesying future events, and those are I definitely believe in those types of prophecies as well. I think there's just two different types. Um, I think definitely Nostradamus was one of the like future prophecy people. He used drugs to prophecy, right? Um, and that's why I consider myself a journeyman, um, because I can't do what he does, right? I've never really tried, but um, if any prophecy comes to me, it's just uh, inspiration. But he was able to work it. There's mine's more passive if it's ever happened to me, but his is more active. Like he's just gonna sit down, drug himself up, and prophecy. Um, but yeah, so um, but anyways, like I'm just talking about random things. Like for me, like I'll read prophecies, and again, it's a word game, and so you try to think of all the different possibilities that um, could apply, right? And there's a limited number of possibilities that could apply, but that limited number could keep going up and up and up depending on the power of your imagination. Um, and sometimes I come up with explanations to this prophecy which are completely wrong, and by going over a prophecy, I'll get ahead and think of all the different possibilities, but eventually I'll think of a possibility, and I'm like, dude, that's it, that's fucking it right there, and it aligns with everything, and um, anyways, so but my suggestion that was wrong, like sometimes like I'll be meditating and thinking of different um, possibilities, and sometimes I'll think of a possibility, and I feel humor, like they're laughing at me, they're laughing at what I just said, you know um, and not really laughing with me, but just laughing at me, just like that guy's funny but stupid, but then I'll come up, boom, come up with another possibility, it'll just click, and I'll be like, I think this is the one, and then I'll realize really the stupidity of my other one, right? But anyways, none of that was my inspiration. My inspiration is this. It's like, what if you have someone who can understand prophecy, and he starts to align his or her um, actions to fulfill that prophecy. It's like this is kind of weird, right? I mean, did the prophecy come true, or is someone just making that prophecy true, right? Um, I don't know. That was the inspiration. It was an inspirational question, I guess. Um, but yeah, no, prophecy's weird, but like one of the ways I see it is that Like, if we have a soul, which we might not, it could all just be the void. Um, which is probably, all this prophecy stuff is probably just silly nonsense. But if we have a soul, right? Well, we're getting Aristotelian again. If we have a soul, uh, then that means that that soul is eternal, right? But we don't experience eternity. Um, I was talking with this angel one time, and motherfucker kept breaking the fourth wall, and and then like smiling at me maliciously, like daring me to say anything, which I didn't, but I'd give him looks like, you're not allowed to say that. But cause it's all about the veil, right? I talked about this on my last video with the angels. It's like you could be dealing with somebody who could be an angel, but they could also just be a dumbass. Um, that's the veil. That's another turn on the phrase of the veil. More concrete and intimate, actually. But anyways, this motherfucker kept breaking the fourth wall, and it's like he said that like he knows the future actions of a person, and that makes the present actions that he's experiencing um, meaningful in many ways. Like he knows the whole story at once, but even though he knows the whole story at once, he's also experiencing time. Um, time as in the present moment, like we all do. Um, but because he can see the whole of the story, it just has a different impact, and that's kind of what we do when we watch stories. It's like when the angels come down, they're participating in our story, right? They're audience members too. They don't get involved, just like you don't get involved with the stories that you watch. But they do for mercy. But it'll be more like a woman's form of warfare, which is subtle, um, rather than a man's. I have muscles. I can swing a sword. Ugh. But they'll subtly shepherd us. But at the same time, still respect our wills and stuff. So, anyways, there was this one time he was talking to me, and like, if you ever come across an angel that they're really impressed if you're not impressed by them. Um, so, but there's one thing he said which I wish I would have recorded down, because like, I treated him just like I'd treat any of you, right? Because that's what he was posing as, I guess. But I was one time he just like, again, just he like this motherfucker just kept slyly breaking the fourth wall. It was like, bitch, and every time he did, I'd give him a dirty look, and he'd like smile at me like really slyly. But he said something like, I think it was 10,000. There's 10,000 things. Motherfucker. It could have been 100,000, but I'm pretty sure there it was 10,000. There's 10,000 things. Um, and what I think he's talking about, like I made this video the other day on passion, and I realized I was doing it, but I just and I was doing it on purpose, but but to me it was all just scientific. I was just um, thinking about the organs within my body, the hormone producers and the biochemical producers, and it's like if I can excite these and have them work for me, which is a tiring process, but I never really put it in those terms before. I was just like, I'm gonna do this to my body while I'm trying to either meditate or create. But to put it in that term of passion, it's like boom. And I think that's what he was talking about when he was talking about these 10,000 things. It's like passion is one of the 10,000. There's there's a lot to this world that just so subtle. Um, anyways, getting back to prophecy. Like if you have a soul, then the part of that part of you right now would be outside of time. So what someone like Nostradamus would be doing is he's able to tap into a part of his soul somehow, and he's able to get himself. I mean, because again, if he's outside of time, that's just fucking weird, right? That's why there's probably only the void. Seriously, nothing but the void. Like you die and nothing. Your body is food for the cycle. But if you do have a soul, then part of that soul would be outside of time, and if you could tap into that, I think that's where prophecy comes from.